Paris.
Randy Chase, Nashville.
Reese Smith, Franklin.
Keith Whittington, Johnson City.
Okay, great. We've got an agenda in front of you. I'd like to go ahead and ask that we adopt that agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. One thing that I would like to do very quickly is maybe go ahead and move the Go Build up to the first item so that we can get those folks released to leave. So, Susan and David.
I'm David McGowan. I'm currently president of the Go Build organization, and we're very pleased to announce that we've actually hired a new individual to come work for us as grassroots coordinator. His name is Brian Kelly. He will start with us on December the 10th, and he'll help us get across the state and really do a better job. We lost our grassroots coordinator early this year. She decided to move back to California. So Brian Kelly graduated with magna cum laude from the University of South Florida. He's been working with a law firm here in Nashville. He's a very young man. He will be able to identify with the young students that we're trying to get to consider going into the trades, and we're very, very happy to have him coming on board. As far as where we stand right now, we've just got an allocation from the state. The allocation this year is $97,000 from the state. Carolyn confirmed that to me last week, and we will be making a deposit. That was a little bit less than what we anticipated, but because of different things y'all are doing with IT and computers and stuff like that fund, but we will be able to do that. This year with Brian on board, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go out to the different associations and try to start raising money and try to do some self-funding ourselves. And so when we went out for a candidate to hire, we wanted to find somebody who had that experience. Brian does have some experience in that area. And so Go Build is moving on. And as far as attendance in trade schools and stuff, I don't have any exact numbers on that right now, but I can tell you that it is up. Hopefully by the next meeting we'll have some very definitive numbers we can be able to give you to show you as far as the progress we have made in Go Build. Susan?
I'm the Executive Director for the Home Builders Association of Tennessee and on the Go Build board. And one of the things I want to point out that I thought was fascinating, it's not just the students that are hungry for information, it's their instructors. They don't have as much information to give their students that directs them to trade schools. So when we've had a few of the job fairs or the events at home shows and whatnot where we had student build programs, their instructors were first in line to get information from the Go Build people. So it's turned the corner. Our social media has done a great job, and by the next meeting we should have numbers for you so that you can see the increase in attendance at these trade programs.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that update. We appreciate your hard work. Okay, the next item is hardships. Need to be approved.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. All right. The meeting, the minutes from September 25th. Carolyn.
We're going to defer that to our next meeting. I don't have these completed yet, and we.
Okay, great. We'll look for that next meeting. Move on to license approvals, starting with the waived files. Do we have a motion to approve the waived files?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Interviews. Andy, did you have some interviews? We'll start it with you.
I did. All the interviews went well. Had one with a civil penalty. It's 51094 for perfect ideas, and they did 3 projects over their limit. 2 of the projects were within the 10%, so only one was almost over double their limit. And civil penalty of $2,500. They are financially stable enough to get their monetary value up, so we increased that to 1.2.
Okay. Mark?
Yes, I had 2 home improvement contractors doing work over $3,000 in a home improvement county, and I am suggesting a $500 civil penalty for each of them. For S&P Construction, file 9001, and Ted's Home Design, file number 9078. They were both in agreement to pay the $500 civil penalty.
Okay, and we'll just approve all these at the end of everybody's review. Jerry, did you have any?
I didn't have any.
Okay. I had one. Reese and I interviewed Taylor Craft Homes, file number 26506. The interview, we had them come in because they were working on projects over their monetary limit. They had asked for an increase in their monetary limit, but had identified several projects that they had were in the process of completing or had completed that were over that monetary limit. We advise a civil penalty of $5,000, and once that is paid, their limit will be increased from $150,000 to $350,000. And that's the only one that I had.
Okay, I had one, Reese Smith, file number 9067, Epic Construction Company, home improvement application, and has finished one job over the $3,000 limit. Recommend a $250 fine, 9067.
Keith?
I had several. The first one is file number 9068. They had projects over $3,000 in Home Improvement County. 2 of them I recommended, and they accepted the penalty of $250 per offense, and then issue the license once the civil penalty is met. License number 72855. This was an application for a BCA being reciprocated from Mississippi. On his experience, he listed 2 projects that were in a home improvement county in Tennessee that were over the $3,000 limit in a home improvement county. He agreed to $250 civil penalty per violation, which is 2 of them, and then issue once that is satisfied. Number 9106, it was another one that was I looked at, and he was called in for an interview but did not show up today. So I wanted to bring this one before the board to see what the board thinks. It is an application. It is a new application, not a renewal. And he's got 2 complaints filed against him for unlicensed activity. And he is described both, and both are anonymous complaints. But he did admit to one of them that he did do the work in a letter that our office sent out to him, but he denied the other one. However, his work fits right along with the complaint, the type of work that he listed doing. So I can maybe see that. And he was asked to come in for an interview today. So do we go ahead and, or I'm recommending that we go ahead and issue a civil penalty of $250 per violation for unlicensed activity, but then we do not approve the application for home improvement license. Is there any thoughts about not approving?
Not Not approving until he pays the fine, or not approving till he comes and sees us?
Until he shows up. We've called him in for an interview, and I think we need to hold it until he shows up for an interview. Anyway, that'll be my recommendation. I've got 2 or 3 more, so bear with me. File number 72843. 2 or 3 of these. This one is an application for a full BC, $500,000 limit request. The only experience he's got is he's done home remodels, restaurant flip, co-owned remodel, and a duplex remodel for himself, which I think he's flipping. I'm going to recommend to the board a $1,000 civil penalty, and that we only issue a BCA. And I'm thinking, almost inclined to stop it at home improvement, but I think a BCA would be okay.
Did he pass the BC exam?
He did. And he's a dentist in Paris, Tennessee, so I don't think he does this for a full-time living.
You gotta watch those. Yeah, you gotta watch those people from Paris.
So that'll be my recommendation on that one. File number 72955. This is an applicant for a BCA. I'm going to recommend approval once they pay a civil penalty of 3 times 2,500. They put houses they flipped on their application, and were kind of almost in disbelief that they were actually violating the law, but they were buying houses, flipping them, and actually even constructed a new one. And then the next one, and that's 2,500 times 3 violations. Then the next one is a BCA. It's 72932. They had the same CPA fill out their entire application as the previous one I just mentioned. And it was so obvious that they were structured as a company the same, and then the experiences were listed the same, and they were flipped, and they had 5 actual listings on their application. So I'm going to recommend a $2,500 penalty times 5 for 72932, and that's all I have.
Clarification for me, the Paris, Tennessee applicant, you held him to BCA.
Yes.
Them. And what was the monetary limit?
You'd asked for 500,000, I think. Did you leave it that way?
He has asked for 500,000, and should we limit him? I'll ask the board what your thoughts are.
I'm just shooting from the hip. You've already popped him pretty good.
He's at 50,000 on these remodels, 50, 70, 50, and 60 on the 4 that he's listed as his experience. And I do really, it's whatever you think.
I'm okay with
Leave it at 500? Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve all of those interviewed files?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, what about revisions? Have a motion for the revisions to
So
be
moved.
approved? We have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, move on to the LLEs. And
We had several of them. I'll just read through them real quickly. 935 needs to retake the test. He's been expired for 4 years or more. 19999, he accepted the grandfather. 23746 needs to take the test. He's expired more than 2 years. 35401 accepted the grandfather clause. 39060 need exam, expired more than 2 years. 54183 need exam, expired 8 years. 55260 need exam, expired 12 years. 55573 need exam, expired 4 years. And we have one felony, and it's a nonviolent felony, so I recommend to the board that we accept his application.
Okay.
We have one different application from a Michael Rico, and it looks like this is his second time. It's a felony license, and like I said, second time applying. I recommend to the board that we deny it due to the violent nature of his felony conviction, and the only use that I can see of him getting out of this license would be renting it or letting someone else use it, because he has 10 years left on his sentence. So I just don't see any use he could get out of this. And that's all.
any questions for Andy? Okay, do I have a motion that we approve the LLEs?
Motion, we approve the LLEs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, LLPs. What's that?
I do need a roll call vote.
And that's just because the application, you guys are deciding to deny it. We'll need that separate because of the Fresh Start Act. I know that you've already explained what factors that you considered in making that decision, but if we can get a roll call vote on that.
So the motion would be to deny it, so a yes vote is to deny?
Yes.
Yes.
Mark Brewer,
Yes.
Jerry Hayes,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Reese Smith,
Yes.
and Keith Lee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the LLPs. I had four that were recent expired licenses that were just trying to waive the exam, and I think they were all fine. I approved all four of them. It was 10977, 766, 57, and 3453. So do we have a motion to approve those LLPs?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, home improvement licenses. Do we have any of those? Apparently.
Those were all
They were all scattered throughout all our
Okay,
interviews.
Yeah,
okay.
approved.
Everything good there. All right.
Hey, Randy. Before we move on, I actually had one that I reviewed in the stack of applications that I did not approve, and I wanted to bring it up before the board. It'd be under the waived category.
Okay.
It's an application from Franklin County Board of Education. They are applying for a BCA and B license. They have an employee who teaches their shop classes who has gone and taken the exam for BCA and B, and also the business and law exam. I'm not real sure what to do with this. They're wanting this shop instructor to have the credential of being, I guess, a licensed contractor. The license isn't in his name, it's in the Franklin County Board of Education's name. So I think maybe we should refer this to legal. Don't know what kind of precedent we've had in the past for school boards applying for contractor licenses, but
Well, we talked earlier, I think we have licensed some school boards for their own work, but not to exceed a few $100,000. They couldn't go build their own school, but they could remodel classrooms or superintendent's offices. But I don't ever remember a shop class being mentioned as leaving campus, as you told me, maybe going off campus and doing a job under the supervision of their maintenance department. That's what got my attention. And I can't imagine that the Franklin County knows that they would be liable to the homeowner.
they would be spending public money. Typically, school board, they require the contractor to be bonded, so this would be waiving that requirement. It just seems really unusual to me, so I didn't really know what to do with it, so I've not approved it or denied it at this point.
So what do we want to do?
I believe that there's a law that exempts them from having a license. They could actually build a house. They're
house
exempt
or-
from a license in the law, so they can actually go out and build a house.
For sale?
Yeah.
What about these kids that, they wouldn't be covered by workers' comp, would they?
I've never seen where they were getting the license for the instructor, but I believe the law doesn't even require them to have a license to do that, so.
Gary asked about workers' comp, though, for the kids, it would be potentially a project.
Yeah, I mean, they would still have to provide all of that at the time when they.
They have
Really
a,
not-
they
they're
have a
really not
workers' comp
paying those-
insurance for their employees, but I don't know about the students. They wouldn't be employees.
Yeah, there's another law that says like, employees, considered, employees of the county.
But we don't really need to issue a license. We can just tell them they can go ahead and do it.
Right, and I was looking for that.
We need the site,
Yeah, I need to find that law.
page.
Can we just kind of
Table this.
table
for now.
this and let legal look at it and maybe make a recommendation,
Yes.
send back to
That way I
those
can
folks?
actually look at the application and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's all the approvals. We now move to the next item on the agenda, which is a summary suspension hearing for Construction Management Incorporated, license number 66836. I'm going to turn this over to the legal folks.
How do you want to handle this? There's 30 pages of summaries and exhibits. Do you want to allow them to look at it, and then I'll give a
It's in
A
their
brief-
iPads.
okay?
I provided them a copy of the complaint.
Because I can just break it down where it's a little bit simpler. But if y'all want to look at it first,
Go ahead, break it down for us.
break it down. Okay.
Just to follow along, I think it's Exhibit 11 on your iPads.
And Mr. Colson is here.
Basically, the company acquired a contractor's license in July of 2015, and they were set a monetary limit of $284,200. They were sent a special hardship request letter that stated the $284,200. We believe that they altered this letter to show that their monetary limit was unlimited. We received a notification from the Murfreesboro City Codes Department, and they gave us a copy of the letter that was presented to them by the company. And it shows to be unlimited. Also, we believe that they were using this fraudulent letter to mislead other codes departments and issuing permits that were exceeding over their monetary limit. And we have notified, or we have notification of about 8 other hotels that have been built or preparing to be built. In July of 2017, the contractor's license was renewed, and it also shows the $284,200 monetary limit. And before you, I've put a couple exhibits on the table, and if you would take those out so I can show you the letters. Exhibit 1 is the fraudulent, what we believe to be the fraudulent letter that was presented to the codes department. If you'll look under the license name, construction management, there's a space in management. And then you also see the monetary limit of unlimited. And this was issued June 30th, 2015, which was the day after their hardship letter was sent to them. If you look at Exhibit 2, this is the actual letter that was sent from the state on June 30th, 2015. And you'll notice that the license name does not have a space in management. You also notice that the monetary limit is at $284,200. And attached to that letter is the hardship license request that was dated June 29th, 2015. If you'll look at Exhibit 3, this letter is dated August 30th, 2017, which would be after their renewal. In our files, we do not show a letter being sent out on August 30th, 2017. You also notice that in the license name, construction management has that space again. The monetary limit is unlimited. And down at the next paragraph, it says that their license is to be, that the board would schedule a meeting to issue their license on July 28th of 2015, which is 2 years before. It should say 2019, after they were renewed, because the expiration date is July 31st, 2019. Also, this qualifying agent, this agent was not changed until December of 2017. We'll look at Exhibit 4. This shows that the latest letter that was sent on May 22nd, 2018 lists the qualifying agents, has the expiration date, and has the monetary limit of $284,200. And Exhibit 5 is the actual license that was sent out in 2017 that still shows the monetary limit of $284,200.
My name is William Colson. I own Construction Management, Inc. out of Rapid City, South Dakota.
Mr. Colson, this summary suspension is an informal conference based on the evidence that the board office and legal has received. They're asking that the license be suspended until at this time you have the opportunity to present any information to the board you would like for them to consider.
As far as the letter goes, I remember when we received the letter had come into the office. I believe the email was addressed to me, but I did not receive that email. It was on my email address. I was out of town. I had my office manager in charge of the office at the time. I do not believe in good faith that we changed any letter. Well, I do not. Our record is clear. We went through hoops trying to get this license. We tried 2 or 3 different times to reach the monetary limits. We exceed the monetary limits right now, are the requirements for that. We operated out in the open. I mean, we dealt with state departments, city departments. We have business licenses, tax licenses. All of our subcontractors have the same. We were unabashed. We were unashamed. We stayed on everybody's radar. We weren't frauding or trying to avoid anybody. We were out there. We've been in this building. We drew permits. We did everything that we would normally do in any other state that we work in. We've had no liens, no arbitrations, no problems, no payment issues. We've operated to pure perfection. To throw it all away by frauding a letter, I'm at a loss. I'm at your mercy. I know where it's at. When the city of Murfreesboro brought it to our attention, we immediately stopped. We immediately stopped everything in the state of Tennessee. I don't have 8 hotels. We built 4. We've got a 5th one right now that is within 2 weeks of opening. That's what we have permitted. That's what we permitted. We'll do whatever we have to do. We got our 2017 audit done. We've got our 2018 review done up to this point. We'll resubmit everything, all the paperwork to show that we do qualify and we do deserve to be here. But I'm at your mercy from that. We're a great company and we have 0 marks. We have great OSHA standing. We have I don't even know if I have a speeding ticket. I've never done anything illegal in my life, and it's an honor to stand in front of you, but it's crushing me as to why I am. And I'm at your mercy. I'll do what I have to do. I'll do what you tell me to do. If you want me out of here, I'm out of here. If I can submit all of my stuff and get right, I thought I was right. I thought I was in the right. I did not know. I did not know we were doing anything illegal. As I said before, we're out. We're in the middle of everything. I mean, we were out in the open. Everywhere we went, we're out in the open. We weren't trying to hide anything. We weren't trying to fraud anybody. That's not who we are. And I don't know what else I can do, but beg the mercy of the board to let me have the chance to make it right however I need to.
How do you answer the discrepancy in the state's records and those that you have?
As far as
How do you reconcile that difference? Because they're pretty meticulous in the way they date stamp and keep track of all the records. And yet yours that you presented to the codes department is something completely different. So how do you reconcile that difference?
I have to stand here in front of you as the owner of CMI. I have several employees within my company that I have to stand for and take the place of anyone. I cannot point my finger at any employee if that were to happen. I have had 2 separate employees that are no longer with me. One when in inception of the license, one has been outside of them. I don't know if in your exhibits the names are probably there that are no longer with me. I have no answer for you on that. I'm running the company. I have other projects in other states that I deal with, and I place this with my office managers, my project managers, my coordinators, and my superintendents out in the field, and like I said, if the letter is wrong, I firmly did not change any letters.
Is it a possibility one of the employees saw that you weren't licensed properly and took it upon themselves to do it?
I can't say no to that, but I'll pay for it. I'm here. I'm standing here. If that's what happened, I know.
Nobody's.
It's a possibility, yes, sir.
If we assume that as a board, is that what we are debating? Is that the question? Do we debate suspension? Do we debate fines? Or is suspension all that's to be considered at this hearing?
We would only consider suspension at this point.
If they don't suspend it, I believe it goes forward.
Right. If you don't suspend, then the complaint will go through the normal process of present it to the board with recommendations on the legal report.
I mean, I think the only other alternative is if they come to.
Or you can come to an agreement now with Mr. Colson.
Tell us about your jobs in progress today.
Yes, sir. Right now I have a 100-room stay bridge in Mount Juliet. It's about 2 to 3 weeks from being open. My business here in Tennessee, I'm not here to capitalize on your growth boom, which, by the way, is amazing. And it's a beautiful city. I've done work in Tennessee for 15 years. I built hotels in Laverne, built hotels in Murfreesboro. I've been building here for a long time, and it's off and on. And I am here again with the same exact families that I built with before. I'm not soliciting business from anybody. Anybody approaches my job sites, we turn them down. We're not here for that.
You have one job that's going to finish out in 30 days.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've shut we stopped. It's the same family that has a few projects that are up and coming. The one in Murfreesboro that we tried to license or get a permit in is another stay bridge with that same family. I'm a 10% owner in my hotels, not through construction, but through actual note. I'm not here to run the gamut. I'm here. It's a business decision on my end. It's a relationship that I have forged with my very few owners here. I'm not anywhere else in the state, and I just this is very hard for me, and I'm not used to it. I've raised my children and my family and everything on honesty and integrity, and to stand here in front of you is breaking me.
Well, I think the struggle we have, because it sounds like you're a pretty hands-on kind of owner, but just to know that you could only qualify for $284,000 and you were about to step into building a multi-million-dollar hotel. I mean, I would think that before you started entering into any sort of contract, you would address that issue right then. But it appears that you went head first or whatever into constructing hotels that you knew you weren't financially set up for with the state. I think that's the difficulty that we're having is, how did you get to that point? We all hear you that you got some great relationships with some hotel builders and all that kind of stuff, but the first thing you needed to do was to get your license paperwork in the proper order, and you didn't do that.
Licensing here in the state of Tennessee is it's an amazing process. I'll give you that. It's very difficult for me. It was very confusing for us, even though I know now it's all spelled out and it's all good. We submitted several different items, several different times. We had several different things going on at that time, back and forth. We submitted for hardship. We submitted for regular. We kept coming up short with different things. We came up short with the letter from our owner for a hardship. We came up short with, I believe, with some bonding at the time, and I believe with some a line of credit at some time. And we submitted things at different times. My take on it when I received the letter, that when it was sitting on my desk, when I received that it said unlimited, I guess my assumption was that maybe everything had to have all come together and we were good to go. My office manager at the time, I questioned and said, hey, we have to question the validity of the letter. We have to make sure that this is right. We sent down a project manager of mine, Craig Larson, to the city building to see if we were an unlimited licensed contractor, and if we were, could we go ahead and draw a permit. My contracts are based off of cost plus, which in turn means I don't. It's the relationship I have with these families that I spoke of earlier, which in turn means that I do not bid out these projects. So I was not bidding these projects. We just needed to permit them and then bid them out and work from there. You know, it's not this way in every city we work with, but our State Department is right there with our city, with the City of Nashville Department here. And when he brought the letter in and turned around and went to the zoning committee in the City of Nashville, after I was told it was validated, we were good, we drew the permit. Maybe I should have questioned it more. Maybe, you know, looking back, listening to the way that it all went down, it could be. Maybe I should have done it different or handled it all myself personally.
Who or how did you pull the permit for Laverne and Murfreesboro and those other 2 or 3 big jobs?
I worked for a company called Hospitality Builders at the time.
Okay.
I've been building hotels, nothing but hotels, for 20 years. So I worked for one company, Hospitality Builders, for 14 years, and the owner of the company was an old Super 8 guy, and he sold his shares, and the other 2 partners were going design build on their own direction. That's what started my company. If it were up to me, I'd be a project manager somewhere again still. I just wanted to continue on how we operate.
Well, you mentioned the process being difficult. With all due respect, we deal with hundreds of contractors each month, and they all go through the same process.
I know.
And we don't seem to have the same problems with those folks as we're having with you. It's just, coming up short, as you referred to. I mean, that's the whole idea of the process. If you come up short, then you're not. We're not going to release you to do work in our state, and we don't think we ask anything that's unreasonable. It's just, I just don't understand how you get from a $284,000 approved monetary limit to building a $10 million hotel. I think that's the issue. But
when I say coming up short, I mean coming up submittal-wise short.
I understand that, but like I said, we've got stacks and stacks of people that go through the same process, and if they come up short, then they give us the additional information, and we move forward with granting them a license. And that's all we asked of you and your
Yes,
folks.
Sir. I thought that was the process we did go through. When we came up short, we resubmitted, and resubmitted.
One quick question. The hardest pill I'm having to swallow right here is, in 520, you submit for an unlimited hardship license. A month later, you submit for, $284,000, whatever it is there. It's hard to see. So you knew you did not get this unlimited license. And within a month, you've done this. And then, but all of a sudden you get an unlimited one somehow? help explain. I'm really having a hard time swallowing that.
Okay, I didn't submit all the emails, but I do have them that go back and forth on that. We applied for the license. At the time, we went ahead and took the 284 license that was offered to us that we qualified for at the same time, and we also put in to extend that instantly to an unlimited license.
Well, actually, here it's saying that was backwards. So you did the unlimited, and then you did the 284. So you applied for the
Yes,
unlimited.
we applied for the unlimited, did the 284, and then as I said, when we were coming up short, we compensated with the bonds, with the lines of credit, with everything else we needed, and we resubmitted again so that we could bump that to the unlimited from there. So yes, we went from unlimited, we took the 284, and then we went for unlimited again. Listen, like I said, it was a process. But I'm standing in front of you at your mercy, whatever you want to do. I mean, I'm as honest as the day is long when it comes to this. I've got nothing to hide. I got an open book for everything, and to be suspended is it's going to be devastating for not only myself but the families that I operate with, and I have the ways and means to do whatever requirements there are to be where I need to be, but it's ultimately up to you.
It was an $8 million job.
Excuse me?
The job that we're talking about that you're 2 weeks away from finishing. What was your contract on that?
Yeah, that's the same exact project as Murfreesboro. It's an $8 million construction.
Questions, Mr. Colson? So
I think we got summarily suspend. How long is that for?
The summary suspension would be until Stewart can schedule a formal hearing.
It can be for a scheduled formal hearing, or it can be up to his renewal date, which is July 31st, 2019.
Formal hearing would be for the purpose of?
Actually having a formal hearing of suspension.
What?
Or revocation.
Permanent.
Yes.
We could settle something right here,
Yes.
right now.
Right. So the purpose of settlement would essentially be saying that the board does not feel there's an immediate threat where we need to pull his license, but rather there was a violation in this instance and you want to issue some sort of disciplinary action for that.
Well, one of the things the board's charged with, I think, is the safety of the public, welfare of the public. I don't think that we've seen any instance of any harm to the public. No problems with construction. I think what the board's looking at here is a violation of our rules by altering documents, whether an owner has admitted it's possible that it's happened. So just for discussion's sake, I'm thinking that we're looking at a monetary violation. Rather than a suspension. I think here we are, we're, as he says, within a couple of weeks of finishing the job up. Just don't know that a suspension is going to cure anything. In the long, I'm looking at a formal hearing issue, and I'm just wondering if shutting him down would be the right thing to do. You know, terminating the license. I don't think that's what I would vote for. So
I think the right thing to do is for him to go find a licensed contractor to finish the job.
Earl said another contractor's already pulled the permit.
Right. The City of Murfreesboro Code said another contractor has pulled that permit. They denied construction management, but someone else came in and pulled that permit.
I'm not aware of that. I have no knowledge of that.
Or it may have been an excavation permit, I believe.
Excavation permit, you still talking about the one that's 2 weeks from opening?
That's the Murfreesboro one.
Okay.
The one that was denied.
Murfreesboro is the one that was denied. I believe the 2-week project is Mount Juliet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody has altered this document.
I've never seen a financial statement that I know of that would
meets the requirements.
meet the requirements.
Have we received
I have the financial documents that would make it qualify that I can have sent in any time.
So are we in agreement that we allow him to finish the one in Mount Juliet that's 2 weeks away?
Is that just fixtures and equipment at Mount Juliet, or do you walk away from that?
Oh, we complete them. It's all full FF&E, the landscaping and all of that. The finishing touches are what's going on right now. Lobbies being put together, some punch list items and stuff like that.
Owner is aware that he's hired a contractor that's not licensed. I'll move that we suspend his license.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. License, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed?
I opposed.
You opposed? Okay.
Let me just say one thing. Now that they've suspended the or moved to suspend it and voted for it, Mr. Colson, you do not have to agree to those terms. And then if you do not agree, then it will go to a formal hearing.
Well, it's under suspension. His license is suspended at this point.
And it will stay that way until formal hearing, or if y'all decide until expiration date of July 31st, 2019. And then he would have to come back in front of the board.
All right. We already did the Go Build update, so the next item on the agenda is the legal report, specifically an update on the Denton Quality Construction LLC.
That's correct. Dennis Gregory for the agency. The board took up an informal conference back in October 2018 concerning Denton Quality Construction LLC and their license. And as you all recall from our telephonic conference, they are working or were working with an unlicensed entity. The attorney for Denton and R&L is the unlicensed entity. They all agreed, pursuant to the board's request or the order, that they show up today to provide a status report of any other project relating to any open complaint with the board. We currently have somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 or 8. As far as I am aware, there is no representative from Denton nor R&L. I believe Leon Denton was Denton's representative, and Roger Turberry is R&L's. So they are not here today. So that's sort of where we are on that. They are currently unsuspended because, as all you all recall, the board opted to lift the summary suspension. However, with all the complaints that we have, all the complaints are on the legal report that we're going to take up today anyway. So just for the board's clarification, the parties aren't here today. So. We would just take up the complaints as we'll talk about on the record. Of sending out a consent order, and then we'll see where they are. With all these complaints, and we've discussed this already with in subcommittee, I believe the way to approach this is with a consent order for voluntary revocation, and then from that point, if the parties want to have a hearing, we can take that at some point later in the year. But that's how we recommend we proceed. There is the possibility, based on some communication that the executive director has had with the local folks there, that they may have scooted out of town or they may be out of state now. Not really exactly clear which.
Right, and that came from the local detective. He said he did not believe they were still in town.
With the word detective, it is, some of the homeowners have gotten the local law enforcement involved, so that could be exodus.
Okay. So
we'll just move on to the legal report. Do you want to take 1 through 50, or how we decided? Okay.
I got one question. Do we change their status back to suspended, or do we leave it active?
I think that based on the way that the order was worded, that we leave it active because the board did vote in their. I mean, had they been here today, I think it would be a different situation, because they had notice to be here. They're not, but since they're not, it's maybe somewhat to their advantage, I suppose. But be that as. They agree to the terms, and if not, then we'll see them for a formal hearing, or we'll do a formal hearing in their absence, assuming that we can get good service.
I'm assuming you all will expedite that process. I would hate to see other homeowners fall into that trap.
Yes.
Well, at this point, that will be a new notice for a new summary suspension hearing, and I don't believe that we sent them notice that the board would be considering that on this occasion.
Right. I think the way to do it is that we just get this. I file a notice of hearing and charges that starts the ball rolling for a formal hearing. If we get service, we potentially could have the hearing as early as January. That would be here, of course. We're not our next meeting in East Tennessee where these two entities are located would be September. That would be way too long. But we could have this back on, back before the board, probably by January, if not, I guess the latest by March.
Unless they agree.
Is it not within Carolyn's ability to temporarily suspend their license while this process goes on? Or is that kind of...
That ship's already kind of sailed with having the summary suspension conference. The one we did on the phone where we all were...
You'd have to set up another one.
We'd have to do another one. Now, we could do that.
I thought that them being here today was contingent upon that.
It actually wasn't. It was just that they were going to be directed to that. The only thing they agreed to was to show up to give us the report. There was no...
They did not do that.
And they didn't really do that.
So why can we not suspend it? Because their unsuspension was contingent upon that agreement.
It wasn't contingent.
I'm going to agree with Andy, though. I kind of assumed that we didn't suspend their license during that telephone conference because of their argument, and they would further their proof at this meeting. And they're not at this meeting to further that proof, and I think they need to be suspended.
We could send them another notice
Instead of special meeting.
instead of no special meeting if that. And of course, there was, as you recall, that they were represented by council at that time, and we don't know whether or not they still are, but yes, we could do that.
I just think the potential's still out there for them to defraud someone else. And if we can stop that, because if we leave that license active, that's likely and probably going to happen. And I think we need to stop it as soon as possible. If we go through your process, we're looking at a week or two or maybe a month.
Right.
And that's too much time for these crooks to breed up another con.
Motion to.
So the board would have to vote to summarily suspend the license. At that point, Carolyn would change the status to suspended. We would send Denton Construction a notice that your license has been suspended. You have the opportunity for an informal conference within however many days. I think 7 days is what the statute requires. We'd set a special meeting for you all to appear. We can do it telephonically. If they show up, you can have a new vote as to whether or not you want to lift that suspension. If they don't show up, the suspension stands until a formal hearing.
You need a motion from us now. I'll make that motion that we formally suspend their license.
Motion.
And a second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So we need to proceed on with the rest of the legal report.
Just a few changes. Number 16, 2018-038-321. We had a discussion, and the decision was to authorize formal and issue a $1,000 civil penalty. Number 22, 2018-044-871. Recommendation is for a $1,000 civil penalty, and that was reduced to $500. Number 35, 2018-042-021. Recommendation was a $1,000 civil penalty, and that was reduced to $500. That was 1 through 50.
I'll pick up with number 50, actually. That's 2018-05-0171. And I'll just go ahead and just reading ahead a little bit for 50, 56, 57, 58. These are all complaints dealing with our friends in Gatlinburg. Well, there's no point in talking about anonymity. R&L and Denton. So I don't know that we really need any action at this
Because
point.
it's just suspended?
Just because they're suspended. But,
Unless they're assessing something against R&L for unlicensed.
Right. So, let's see, outside of those numbers, let's see what's next. 2018-06-0411, that was on for discussion, and board authorized a formal hearing with a civil penalty of $1,000. 83 was on the report, but it's been removed. That was 2016-02-8601. It's been removed in the sense that the attorney that's handling it is still wanting to work the case, essentially. So it's neither closed nor any other action right now. 86, 2018-05-6261. We had some discussion about reciprocity with Mississippi. I think that the recommendation was we agreed with, but just as a side note, we wanted to explore what avenues we might have with Mississippi's regulatory body and potentially discipline this respondent.
Yeah, my issue was this is a licensed contractor in the state of Mississippi and licensed through us with reciprocity. So since they're in Mississippi, we're going to try to pursue them through Mississippi's licensing board via our reciprocity agreement. So maybe their board can impose a penalty on them. And that's something we might be able to legally pursue and see, and if it works, then we've got an avenue with all the other states that we agree with as well if we have problems. And it just occurred to me that it's an avenue anyway.
All right, number 99, 2018-03-2781. The new board decision is to actually sustain its previous decision of imposing a $1,000 civil penalty and authorize, I believe, unless board members have any other notes, I believe that concludes 50 through.
And also, there were no changes to commercial, electrical, or plumbers.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the legal report as presented?
Make a motion, we approve the legal report as presented.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's all good. What about the budget update, Carolyn?
And I think I emailed it to you, but the final figures did change, and it did decrease the amount that went to Go Bill instead of what we thought would be around 200,000. That being around 98,000 that went to Go Bill.
Any questions about the budget? Okay. Do we have to approve the budget or anything, or we don't? It's just an update. What about the board meetings for 2019?
A list of, it's basically the last Tuesday of the month, except during the week that there's a holiday. And so if you could look at these and let me know. Go ahead and get these published.
Or maybe let Carolyn know if you do see something. Okay, any new business?
Charging a fee for increases, for revisions.
Just real quickly, I was looking at the increases and I saw there was a stamp on there that said no fee required. Well, we ought to charge them something, because y'all have got to go through the same drills, and then we have to approve it. I don't know how you do that. I guess it has to go through the legislature, but
So it actually doesn't require legislative change. That would be a rule that the board can approve. And if that's something the board would like for me to look into, I can begin the process of looking into that. Just tell me, I guess, a figure or an amount that you all think would be sufficient to charge for that.
Charge $100 for a transfer, and it's about the same process.
is there any other process that we don't charge for?
Process for an ad class or name change.
My first response is let's look into all of those for $100, if that's okay.
Yeah, anything that requires some paperwork, and yeah, I agree.
Right, it is all of them, or all the revisions require a lot of paperwork, requires board approval. It requires,
Well, now that we've gone paperless, it's even more work to get it to get it on paper and then get it paperless.
Ma'am, do you have something to in the audience?
Vote on having me go ahead and begin the process of looking at the fee changes for the additional, I'm trying to think of the word for it. What we're calling- revisions to
So moved.
licenses.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. We
Money for
appreciate that.
Go
Yeah.
Build.
Does have an open case. She just wanted to see how the board run, and she wanted to ask about what could be done to get the local DA to go after unlicensed contractors and contractors that take your money. What could be done to get the local law enforcement to go after these contractors?
I think there's already laws that cover that, and there's nothing the board can do. We don't have the teeth to do that. That's up to the police, the sheriff in that particular jurisdiction to arrest that person, and then the prosecutors to prosecute them. And it's being done. There are cases all across the state of people being arrested and prosecuted. Now, they're not getting them all. And you know, that's where the public needs to be aware that, yes, they are required to have a license, and yes, don't use them if they don't. But as long as you've got people that are trying to save a dollar and use an unlicensed contractor, they're going to be out there.
I have worked on houses with houses and flipped houses and live in them, whatever.
Can you state your name for our court reporter, please?
My name is Tanya Raddick. I used to be a registered nurse, and I worked in the recovery room at Vanderbilt for many years. And my husband's a physician, and he would invest his money, and I said, I invest money in hammers, nails. I'm a country girl. I understand land, property, and so on, et cetera. So I wound up myself doing a lot of contracting as self-contractor with little things, but I moved to the city and then game changer, okay? So the reason that I'm coming here today is as a consumer that I see a lot of people like myself, especially older people, and these people that I am so proud that there is a board that has some accountability to these people, because they will tell you that they have license, and they will tell you that they have this, but tools, trucks, and a business card and a website doesn't make you a contractor. So it was a bitter pill to swallow, and what I'm trying to do, and I'm so thankful to be here as a consumer advocate, is what can I do to help educate other homeowners and consumers to let them know. And then sometimes that I repeat the things. I say, this guy got a $500 fine. Well, that's what they charge to change the toilet. So the fines that I would say could be something worth them having to not, oh, well, hell, that's nothing. I don't care. I'll just work. I mean, I'm reading the fines, and a lady who misbraided somebody's hair or nails got more fines than people who are in our homes. And that's what I saw. It's like, if they're going to do my nails and get a $500 fine, or they're going to braid my hair and get a $3,000 fine, please, people, these contractors need fines more than $250, $500, $1,000. I mean, that's a joke. Thank you.
Under the home improvement law, we are limited as to what we can fine. And that takes a legislative effort with the legislature, just to let you know.
Yes, and I'll be glad to process
Now-
as a leader for other people who, I mean, when you get older. They're coming, and we have to have some sort of consumer protection for these people. And if it's a legislature that I need to go knock on their door, if it's a police department I need to knock on their door, that's where I need to go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, any other new business or discussion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, so moved. All right, second. Meeting is adjourned.
Did a fine job.